only 1 year that I was selling caviar. As you understood, a difficult product, quite a niche product. Saturday morning at 10 a.m., first customer is Hugh Grant with his son.
Welcome to the Hospitality Podcast.
Where's the lamb sauce?
Come on, man.
I just need it.
This is the lamb.
Where's the lamb sauce?
Presented by Arthur Gomez.
God damn! I just spent $8,000 on some f***ing wine!
And Quentin Wind.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
So pour yourself a glass because we're diving into the world of restaurants, kitchen and bar. The Hospitality Podcast.
Hey, welcome back everybody to Breaking the Cork. Today a new episode of the podcast, always with a new guest, and we have a special guest with us. We have Faustine
Hello,
De
guys.
Cassini. She's the export manager at Caviar Sturia for the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically today, during the episode, we're gonna talk about caviar. We're gonna try some caviar. You bring some samples.
Indeed.
What did you bring
I
exactly?
thought it was Christmas, so I thought we will celebrate with a bit of caviar. So I did bring 3 caviar from 2 different species of sturgeon. And we're going to talk about it a bit later.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
So just to explain maybe a little bit more,
Yeah.
Sturia, it's a French caviar.
Yes, indeed. Sturia, we've been breeding and producing caviar for the past 30 years now, which makes us one of the biggest producers of caviar in France. And caviar comes from the sturgeon fish. Caviar means salted sturgeon eggs, so it's very easy. We're going to try 3 different caviar from 2 different species. For one, we take 7 to 9 years to breed the sturgeon, and the other one is 10 to 12 years.
So if we try and go from the basis, so for the people who doesn't know what caviar is, first of all, the story of caviar, where it's coming from at first, and obviously there's a legend. I know it might be real,
Exactly.
but it used to be the food for the poor before.
So sturgeon, the caviar originally it comes from the Caspian Sea, which is between Russia and Iran, and they were using indeed they were at that time the Tsar were fishing the sturgeon for the meat, for the flesh, and throwing away the eggs for the poor people, and that appears. We don't know exactly when it has arrived exactly in the when they started to produce some caviar, but in France it has started in 1920. And the legend, as you say, the legend is that a Russian princess came on holidays in Bordeaux and saw the fisherman, the French fisherman close to the Gironde estuary, fishing the sturgeon for the flesh, for the meat, and throwing away the eggs to the duck. And she screamed, she said, "You are mad, because in Russia we keep those eggs that we mix with salt. This is called caviar, and this is how we started to produce in 1920 in the Gironde estuary."
So 1920, that means it's not that old.
Exactly. And the problem is that with overfishing, we didn't know exactly how to produce caviar. So the sturgeon species were disappearing. In 2008, the wild caviar has been totally banned. So before it was wild caviar, and now it's only farmed caviar.
Okay.
Everywhere in the world. Yeah.
So you can't find any wild one anymore.
No, you can find, but on the
On
black
the black
market. That's the black
Okay.
market.
Actually, talking about the black market, do you have in the caviar industry, like in the wine or any other like kind of prestigious product, any black markets as well for the caviar? Because I know it's very expensive.
Yeah, so there is a black market on the caviar. I mean, the caviar is covered by the CITES. CITES is on all the tin of caviar, this little number I will show you
So
a bit
for
later.
people who just listen to the podcast, she's showing the back of the
Exactly. So there is this number over here. And the CITES stands for Convention of International Trade of Endangered Species. That allows you to find out from which sturgeon species it is, because there is 25 species of sturgeon. You can find out the origin of the caviar, you can find out the date when it's been produced, and without it you can't sell caviar.
Yeah. So you can't find wild sturgeon in France or anywhere in the world now.
So you can go in the sea, fish some sturgeon, because there is still some sturgeon in the sea, but if you fish it, you have to release it.
And you can really like fish one, open it, and doing the caviar at
you
your
have
place.
to be very lucky, because if you do that, you have to. I mean, the sturgeon, it starts producing the eggs after 7 to 8 years. And after, you have to fish him at the right period when the eggs are good for the caviar, the texture, the size, the color. So yes, you can fish a sturgeon, but by the time you open it, I mean, you have to be very lucky to find eggs which are ready for the caviar
And I
for the
guess
production.
it's a very long process. It's not just like you're fishing the fish,
Exactly.
you're opening the belly, getting the eggs with salt, and that's it. It's more complex. than
Yeah,
that.
so the farming process is very long because we wait minimum 7 years to get the eggs from one of the sturgeon, up to 10 years and 20 years for the beluga, which is the host of the caviar. But for the, let's say for the Accipenser bairi, which is one of the most common in Europe, you wait 7 to 9 years to get the eggs. After, to make sure that the eggs are good before we kill the fish, we'll have to kill the fish to get the eggs. We'll do an echography
Yeah, I saw
and a
this.
biopsy.
Really?
You've seen the
Yeah.
video?
Yeah, I've seen the video. Yeah,
It's nice, huh?
it's
Yeah,
just like a pregnant woman.
Like
with
an
Exactly.
echography.
Yeah. So you do a biopsy, you extract few eggs from the sturgeon, and then you check the size, the color, and the texture before killing the fish, obviously. If it's not good, we put the fish back in the water for another 2 years. If it's good, we're sending the sturgeon in the production site, where we will take the eggs out of the sturgeon, and we're gonna mix with water. Not with water. We're gonna sieve the eggs with water, and then we're gonna mix with salt, and then we can call it caviar. So the farming process is very long; it's 7 years minimum. But then the production, it's 20 minutes, 40 minutes.
Oh, okay, so it's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick, yeah.
So what's expensive in all of that is just the time.
Exactly.
7 years.
It's all about
Space,
patience. Yeah.
obviously.
The space, the food that we give to the fish.
Oh yeah, can we speak
The-
about actually the food that we give? Is that
Yes.
does that change obviously the
Exactly.
the
So
taste?
we've been producing caviar for the past 30 years. So we've tried many things. Today we feed the fish with vegetable oil, with fish meal, with a bit of proteins, but everything is very controlled.
Okay.
And it represents a huge kind of money because we have to feed the fish for 7
Yeah,
years
of course.
minimum, up to 15 to 20 years for the beluga.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why I didn't bring beluga today.
Once you get the eggs from a sturgeon,
Yeah.
how many grams minimum, and how many maybe kilo? Or-
Yeah, so it's a good question. So 10% of the total weight of the fish is eggs, roughly.
Okay.
10%. Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
we're
a
gonna
lot.
try 3 different caviar. One from the Accipenser bairi, which is a 7 to 9 years old fish.
Okay.
It's a fish that is roughly 10 kilo.
Yeah.
So you get 1 kilo. This is 1 kilo.
I think you should
Yeah.
It's
check,
not
check
caviar,
the box out. It's amazing.
it's,
That's
food nourish.
right.
How much
Okay.
would it cost for this box of 1 kilo approximately?
You can find a 1 kilo box for tin. We call it tin for 1,000 pounds
Okay.
Oh,
up to 5,000 pounds for the beluga.
Okay. And what's the weight of a sturgeon, for example?
Is the beluga, so it comes from the fish, which is
Yeah.
called the uso. The fish can go up to 70 kilos.
17.
70.
70?
70 kilo.
So you get 6 to 8 kilos roughly. For the Ossietra, which is one of the most famous one in the world just after the beluga.
Okay.
The Ossietra, it comes from the Accipenser guldenstati.
Bless you.
That's 10 to 12 years old fish, so you get 1.5 kilo of caviar.
Okay.
Not caviar, because at that time it's just eggs.
Yeah.
And this is when you mix with salt that you can call it caviar.
So I guess with the salt it reduces the weight because it's.
No, so the salt will work as a preservative.
Okay.
And it will give a subtle flavor to the caviar. If you don't put salt, the eggs are going to start melting after 1
Okay.
hour. So yeah, caviar means salted sturgeon eggs.
And for example, last year, how many kilo of caviar did you make at Sturia?
So last year we produced 17 tons of caviar. The largest producer of caviar today are the Chinese. Then it's Italy and then France.
Italy.
In the northeast of Italy.
Okay, interesting.
And then we produce more and more caviar in Poland as well, in Belgium, in Spain.
Where's the best caviar coming from?
By the French.
France?
Not the French arrogance. No, we'll say the best caviar. Well, it's very subjective, but I will say the French and the Italian caviar are really good because there's a lot of character. It's quite clean, it's quite creamy, nutty. It also depends on the species of the sturgeon. We've got some caviar which are a bit stronger in taste, some which are a bit more creamy, buttery. So it all depends on the fish as well. But yeah, I will say the French. At Sturia, we've been producing caviar for the past 30 years. So I believe that with the time you acquire the know-how, the savoir-faire.
Because I guess obviously like every country have like different weather, etc., different condition. So maybe in Russia it's a bit more cold, maybe it's better for the fish. I don't know. I'm just.
So in Russia we don't produce any more caviar because
Russia.
since 2008 the wild caviar has been banned and the sturgeon are completely disappeared from the Caspian Sea.
Really? Okay.
Oh wow.
I've never seen in 7 years in London working in the caviar industry. I've never seen any Russian caviar.
Never. Really?
Yeah.
So what's the whole hype about caviar for especially the rich people? Because obviously it's known when you say caviar, it's straight you think about, for the wealthy people. Why the hype on caviar and not the salmon caviar or like other, fish eggs?
So I would say the hype comes from the fact that it's a luxurious product that is super expensive, first of all, and also because when you think that you have to wait 7 to 9 years minimum just to get 1 kilo of eggs, that makes it quite appealing, quite sexy, quite interesting. After that, it's like the truffle, it's like the champagne. It's
a bit like meat as well. You have
exactly Wagyu,
meat,
exactly,
12-year-old cows, the best meats that you can have. No, makes sense. But when did it become really popular within the whole wealthy people? Because now it's just like champagne caviar, it's a must.
Yeah, I will say it's a difficult question because I think that we see more and more because we all work in the industry, so we see it more in the cuisine, but I've got a lot of friends that are not in the food industry and that never tried caviar before, and they barely know that caviar comes from the sturgeon fish. I wonder if it's getting more and more popular, or it's because we see it more and because we are in the food industry that we see it more. Also because we've got a lot of non-pretentious customers, chefs. I always talk about casse-croûte, which I really like around the corner. The chef is to put a bit of caviar just to try something different and to propose something different, or putting it as a supplement, 5 grams of caviar for 10 pounds. So that makes them, that's something quite luxurious, but that more and more chef wants to try.
Of course.
What I like about caviar a lot is that it's like truffle. It's a very luxurious ingredient, but you put it on very simple ingredients, and it matches.
It changes everything.
Also, the thing is, like, with a tin of 20 or 30 grams, okay, it's gonna be expensive if you're buying like retail. But obviously, like with a tin of 30 grams, you can make a lot of dish, some petit four, because you just put a bit of caviar on every dish. You know what I mean? You don't need a lot to have the taste.
Exactly. Well, that depends again of the species of the sturgeon. If you talk about Bairi caviar, which is indeed a bit stronger, you don't have to put a huge quantity. But if you talk about the Ossetra caviar, which we're gonna try later, the Ossetra, I think it's really good like this with a spoon.
Okay.
And just have it like this with a glass of champagne or on a dessert, or it's quite.
And can you explain what is this thing about you can't eat caviar with like a classic spoon?
Yeah. So if you eat caviar with a stainless steel spoon, it can oxidize. So in the palate, so the best is to use mother of pearl spoon or plastic spoon, or there is this new, not a new trend, but which it's actually very old, but the royal way to try caviar is to put just here on the back of the thumb and to have it like this, so you avoid the taste of spoon and you slightly warm up the eggs to your skin.
I bought some caviar for this weekend. For Christmas dinner.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, you're so wealthy.
It was only 30 grams.
Breaking the Cork is making money now.
Breaking the Cork guys. And my girlfriend, she didn't know about this thing about the thumb. You know? And I like if you're not working in this food industry, you don't really know that much about that.
Exactly,
You know what I mean? Or even just like the fact that you can use stainless spoon.
There is a lot of restaurants, bars, especially in London, that offer the caviar bump. So it's called the caviar bump. So they offer 4 or 5 grams of caviar with a glass of champagne. Including the champagne,
that's a
but
cool concept.
It's a cool concept and it's a nice way of trying it without spending a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after they propose the tin of caviar, the full tin of caviar for 30 grams of caviar or
Amazing.
15 grams. Yeah.
You're selling your caviar to a restaurant, let's say a Michelin restaurant, with tins of 50 grams. How much you're gonna pay when you're going to this restaurant?
That's a good question. So we work a lot with Burger and Lobster. They sell the 15-gram tins of caviar for £25.
Oh yeah,
so that's super affordable.
That's very
we
cheap.
work with other restaurants, a lot of other restaurants in Mayfair and Marylebone. They sell it for £90, £110.
Okay.
It can go up to £200 for 15 grams. So it really depends of what the chef wants to offer, if he wants to do big margin on it. Yeah. I always say it's a kind of a cash product because it doesn't take space in the fridge. The shelf life is quite long. It's about 6 months minimum.
Oh, crap. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
Once it's open, it's 2 or 3 days, but once closed, it's 6 months. It's very easy to serve, just on the bowl with ice, 2 spoons on the side. It's always a bit frustrating when I see some places where they offer the 15-gram tins at £200.
Yeah, I can imagine. Should we give it a try?
Yeah, we can
Should
do
we
the
taste?
tasting. Yeah, sure.
I think.
Can you age the caviar like a fine wine?
You can age the caviar on the So I will explain the difference of the caviar, but on the Bayerie caviar, which is those two, you can age the caviar because the eggs are quite small, quite creamy, nutty. So you're going to see a difference if it's aged for 2 months or 8 months. Aging means that when we produce the caviar, we put the caviar in those big 1 kilo tin, and then we leave it in the fridge. But we don't touch the product, we just leave it like this.
Okay.
With the time, the salt will work on the eggs, so it's going to give the subtle flavor to the caviar. It's like a cheese, it's like a comté. The more you age it, the stronger will be the caviar. But you lose a little bit in texture. Since the Ocietra, the eggs are a bit bigger and firmer, you're not going to see a huge difference if it's 2 months or 10 months or whatever.
Okay.
So we're going to try one. So this is a classic Bayerie. So I did bring 2 different Bayerie. We started with the entry-level price caviar. The texture is quite melty. It doesn't pop in the palate.
No.
The eggs, you don't feel the egg that pops in the palate. That's the caviar that chefs used to like to use on a sauce. They don't necessarily have the budget, but they want to have a bit of luxurious product in their menu. So they will use this one. Since it's a bit stronger, you really get these sea flavors, like almost oystery flavors.
It's not fishy.
It's not too fishy.
So we don't like in caviar, we don't like the term fishy because it's very negative. So good,
Really?
good point. The second spoon is slightly different.
Do you know why the second one is always way better?
As humans, we are not ready to eat oysters in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's like caviar. I mean, it's like everything. The second spoon really
It's punchy, huh?
much stronger.
Yeah.
Because the palate was not ready for it. And the funny thing is that might sound a bit posh, but the funny thing is that when you try caviar in the morning or in the evening, it's totally different.
That's very posh.
Sorry.
What about, actually, I've got a good question. What about on the plane? Have you ever had it on the plane?
I never had caviar on the plane.
Ooh, you need to try that.
Have you tried it?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
No, but no, it's because you lose, I think it's 20% of your taste buds. When
In the plane? Really?
Yeah, when you're in high altitude, you lose 10 or 20% of your taste bud.
Okay.
And that's why chefs, when they do the menu for a business class, they have to consider that fact into their menu. Add more salt, for example, more acidities, just to make sure that you get that punch, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, when the chef does like a whole menu, it's much longer research into the menu because you have to consider 20% less. So
Nice,
that's why you should give it a try and see.
That's interesting.
So good point. We're moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
The eggs over there on this caviar, they are a bit firmer. In terms of size, it's the same size because it's the same species. Taste-wise, it's totally different. The good thing with caviar is that you can eat it all day long. We've got chefs using it on the breakfast menu.
Okay.
Caviar with scrambled eggs is absolutely fantastic.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, I think you told me that the best accord is like actually scrambled eggs, so like eggs with caviar.
Exactly. Or potato, cream and caviar is one of the
Now
best
I've
pairings
got
as well.
that's what I'm going to be doing then on the 25th in the morning.
We've got a lot of customers doing that.
I'm going to
Especially
do
in
this.
England, because in England you celebrate Christmas on the 25th.
I don't know. I do French version where you just eat for 1
5
week.
days.
But I might do it on the 25th this year just to try the caviar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Never had the omelette with caviar, but so would you cook it actually in the morning with scrambled eggs?
You do scrambled eggs and you add it on top.
On the top?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't cook it with it.
No,
it's just last touch.
Exactly,
Put it
last
on
touch.
top.
You never cook caviar.
When you put it on the sauce, you cook. But no, you never put caviar in the oven or.
No. Okay.
But you put it in very last minute in.
Any herbs you would add to it or?
Not necessarily, no.
Just simple as that.
Yeah,
okay.
just simple like that.
With a glass of champagne and orange juice.
Exactly.
Mimosa.
Ouais.
I can just imagine how good it could be with scrambled eggs in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or with a steak tartare and caviar, it's absolutely fantastic.
Steak tartare and caviar.
What I really love about caviar is that it's like truffle. You put it on pasta, on a burrata.
Even dessert?
Even dessert, yeah. We've got chefs using caviar with white chocolate on a dessert. So you will not use this one, the Bayerie caviar, which is a bit stronger.
Yeah.
Guests might not love it as much as it's a bit strong. But the Ocietra, since it's a bit more delicate, it's a bit more creamy, nutty, I think the Ocietra will be best on the dessert menu.
And which one is your best seller? Is it the one in the middle, like the?
No, it's the last one.
Yeah, the
Ocietra.
premium one. Okay.
From the Assipenser Gulden Stetti.
Oh, nice.
That's the fish.
Oh yeah, that's a good. Oh yeah,
That's massive, huh?
Big one, yeah.
It's
Ouais. It really looks like a dinosaur, you know what I mean?
actually, funny enough, the sturgeon is a dinosaur fish.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Which has more than 200 million years. It doesn't have no scale, no cartilage, and it's a fish that does not reverse. So the shark can't stop and can't reverse, go backwards.
Yeah.
Backward.
Sorry?
Backward.
Yeah.
Sorry. The sturgeon fish can stop, but it can't go
Backward.
backward. Sorry, it's weird. So when it goes into the water in our farms, we have to put it back on the side so it can release
No.
that.
Ah ouais, that's funny.
So does the
So if it can be stuck like this in our farms in a...
okay on just turn
No,
right or
it doesn't have la marche arrière.
a reverse gear? Yeah.
Ah ouais, okay.
Oh, we should do a
That's,
new brand
that's
of caviar.
Exactly.
We put like a,
The caviar we can turn.
Yeah. A
The
gearbox.
first
Picture of a gearbox with reverse.
The first caviar
With
we
a
can go
cross.
backward. Should we try the last one?
Yeah, the last one.
So you're selling a lot of caviar in London, outside London, everywhere in the world, basically.
Yeah.
What usually is your main customers? Are we talking more like Michelin restaurant or even, as you say, casse-croûte? Like more casual restaurants can have some caviar on the menu?
That's quite interesting because we've got more and more different channels
Thank
of
you.
customers. We work a lot with Michelin star, obviously, but also with hotels, with small boutique, with bars. Because there is two ways of trying caviar. You get the chef that use caviar on a dish, but there is a lot of more and more customers that present the caviar at the bar with a glass of champagne. We work a lot with Ricky
Ricky?
at the Watley Manor,
Okay.
who is proposing the caviar tin like this as a starter.
And just what on the plate? He gives you like
Exactly.
that. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, as I said, with on a bowl with ice and 2 spoons on the side, and
That's
and
it.
that's it. Yeah.
Watley Manor?
The Watley Manor. Yeah.
Okay. Where
Which
is it?
outside of London,
Okay.
in Gloucestershire.
Close to shore.
Gloucestershire.
Gloucestershire.
So who's
And
the
we-
chef?
Ricky Weston, one Michelin star chef, and we've got more and more restaurants we work with in north of England. We work with football club as well.
Which one?
Liverpool Football Club.
Ah, Liverpool. Okay.
Yeah. With Tottenham a little bit.
Okay. For those who are football fans, Fulham has the most expensive season tickets in
Really?
the whole of the UK.
Which is?
Fulham.
Yeah.
Which how much? I think it's around the £2,000 marks, which
Oh, wow.
is for
Actually,
for 18 games.
That's expensive, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
What do you think of this caviar?
It's really good. I love the last one, but to be fair, the one in the middle was
Yeah.
really good as
The
well.
Bailey,
to be
yeah.
fair.
I prefer
The
the last one,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
'cause
obviously, yeah.
The
it
last one,
has-
honestly, with a spoon like this, you can have it.
Yeah, it's very luxurious.
But
I mean,
yeah.
you can feel each
Eggs that
egg.
pops.
Yeah,
The Ossetra is really famous for because the eggs are quite firm and quite delicate. Well, you really get the eggs that pops in the palate. Yeah. So on the last one, we consider notes of butter and nuts,
Yeah.
while the second one, as you said, is much more sea flavors like oyster and black olive as well.
Why do you feel more the salt in the first one than the
Because
last
the eggs are smaller and the eggs are much more melty in the palate, so you really get this saltiness.
interesting.
one? For someone who never tried caviar before
Yeah.
and they want to try caviar to treat themselves for Christmas, would you like advise to get like the first one, the second one, the last one?
The Ossetra
The
caviar.
last one
Yeah.
to try as a first
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, because I think the last one, because people are a bit scared when they try caviar. They say, "Oh no, I don't like fishy taste. I don't like
Yeah.
it's fish eggs." But the last one, as you said, is very creamy. It's very nutty. You don't have these sea flavors. So I think the Ossetra caviar is it's one of the, if not the best in the world, because after the Rolls Royce of the caviar is the beluga. But as you understood, the price is not the same that we sell.
How much is a beluga? For
£5,000 a kilo.
Yeah.
So for 30 gram in retail, you will not get it under £250 per 30 gram.
Yeah.
£250 for 30 gram, yeah.
Seriously?
Mm.
So what's the difference with this one? Like, why is it the Rolls
That's
Royce?
First of all, at Sturia, we are the only producer of beluga
Okay.
in France.
Yep.
And it takes 15 to 20 years, so you have to be very patient
Wow.
to get it. We only have a few fish, so
That
Takes,
kind of
yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you get crazy demands, or is there like a waiting list to get it, or not that?
No, because we sell it's quite expensive.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
okay.
lie, we don't have a huge demand because it's
Too expensive.
and people and chefs to put it on the dish,
Yeah.
it's quite rare.
Yeah. With
It is,
luxury
yeah.
product, so
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense.
Mm.
But if you want to treat yourself for Christmas, I feel like it's
Yeah,
great
definitely.
for an introduction to caviar.
A nice
And-
little champagne.
Ouais, exactly. Champagne or crément,
Mm.
any
Or
sparkling.
vodka. So some people use vodka with caviar.
Ah, why
For me, it's
vodka?
not strong, too strong. Well, that's the Russian way to try caviar.
Okay, because it's very natural as a spirit.
It's quite strong and it's. But for me, it does kill the flavors of the caviar. With the white wine or champagne, for me, it's the best.
And is there any like a secret trick to tell a good caviar from a bad caviar? Like a bit like in wine when you have the swirl and
you will have the humidity in the caviar that you see the oils that comes out here. You see it's a bad caviar. The smell, we're talking about the smell. If it does smell, it's like fresh fish. So if it smells a lot, it's not good.
Interesting.
Cool. Makes sense. And just on another topic, so we tried the caviar. It's really good. It's delicious. I know you bring a couple of like items.
Yeah.
That I guess you made from the fish. From the
exactly.
sturgeon.
So we talk a lot about sustainability. But at Sturia, we're quite proud because we are also breeder, producer, and refiner. So we do everything. We've got our own hatchery where we do the artificial reproduction twice a year. And every year, once we do the reproduction, we release some sturgeon in the sea to recreate the population of sturgeon.
Okay.
And on top of that, when we kill the fish, because we have to kill the fish to get the eggs out of the sturgeon, we're quite proud because right now we use 100% of the fish.
Okay.
So we use obviously the eggs, which is our main part. That's the
which
biggest,
is the caviar.
Which is the caviar. We use the fillet, sturgeon fillet that we do. We do fresh fillet. I mean fresh, no, frozen fillet. But we're also working on a smoked sturgeon fillet. We use the skin of the sturgeon, so that's sturgeon leather. I can show it to the camera. So this is a napkin ring. And we also do some coaster, which I didn't bring today, and this is the full skin of the sturgeon.
It's actually quite cool.
Yeah, it's nice, huh?
It is. Yeah.
I've got my shoes as well. I'm not going to show you my shoes, but
Yeah, you get the shoes.
I've got
Yeah,
a wallet
the
as well
trainers.
made with sturgeon leather.
yeah.
So we are quite proud because we use absolutely 100% of the fish. Yeah.
Obviously, when you're killing the fish, using the whole fish. But so, do you think caviar is ethic?
It's like when you eat a fish. When you eat a fish, you don't eat everything because the skin, you remove it, the head, you remove it. I think that caviar, first of all, caviar from Sturia is quite ethic because yes, we're trying to recreate the population. We are farming, there is no more wild caviar again. And on top of that, we use 100% of the fish. So it's like when you're eating meat, you eat the cow,
exactly.
but you don't.
To be fair, I'm personally agree with that, but I know like for some people they are always like saying that caviar is kind of like maybe a bit harsh as a method, because obviously when you see like a documentary on caviar, you always see like people with like a white blouse taking the fish, opening the whole fish. It's a bit like hardcore kind of, but I guess they're not filming like the whole process.
Yeah, they're not filming the whole process, and there is something we don't say much, but we can't do. I mean, there is some companies which are doing non-kill caviar, and we've tried to do it, but to get the eggs without killing the fish, you will inject some hormones in the fish to release the eggs and press the belly of the fish.
So it's not
and after
better.
you're gonna, and because of the product you put inside, it really changed the quality of the caviar. And technically, the sturgeon can reproduce every 2 years after that, but we've never seen a good production 2 years later.
Okay.
So
And the fish is suffering a lot.
I can imagine.
Anyway, we kill it, but
So it's not worth it. It's not
so it's
better.
not worth it, no.
And in terms of reproduction of the sturgeon, out of all these eggs that comes out, how many can be sturgeons after?
It's 50-50 because obviously only the female will produce the eggs, which will go for the caviar, and we do the sexing after 2 years only.
Oh, wow.
So that's another step. This is why caviar is so expensive. When you think you have to wait 7 years, feeding them every day, taking care of the fish for 7 years. But on top of that, you do the sexing after 2 years. So before the fish is 2 years old, you're not able to know if it's a male or female. So the male, we're going to sell them for the flesh, for the meat. In Eastern Europe, mainly, we sell them. Or we're going to keep the best for the reproduction.
Yeah.
And the female, we're going to keep them for another 5 years minimum for the Bairi, for 8 years for the Ossetra, and for 15 years for the Beluga.
That means the fish itself to eat is not very good?
First of all, we don't sell it in the UK because with Brexit it makes very complicated to import sturgeon fish and very expensive.
Yeah.
And also because we sell it frozen. And chefs are not really interested in frozen sturgeon, in frozen fish in general.
Of course,
sold it in 10 kilo boxes.
Well, even in
It's
France,
expensive.
do you find sturgeon fish
not a lot.
on the menu?
You can find, but not a lot. It's not very popular, I would say.
I never
Not
saw
as
like
much.
in a supermarket or anything like esturgeon.
By the looks of it, it looks like a fish that's quite fatty.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So it's in the middle between, we consider it's close to eel or cod.
Okay, cod is
okay.
okay, but
Yeah.
eel I know is
Yeah.
not great.
Just to finish the podcast, just a last question. A question we kind of always ask to the guest.
Yeah.
You're working as a sales. I guess you have a lot of customers in London, outside London, in Dubai, Spain, etc. And I know you're working a little bit as well with private customers.
Okay.
So did you have any memorable story you had with one of your customers, chef?
Yes.
kind of a story that stand out.
Yeah, okay. I was doing a tasting on a Saturday morning in a little shop in Chelsea, which is called Pascalou. Now it's called Marilou. It's been like only 1 year that I was selling caviar. As you understood, a difficult product, quite a niche product.
Yeah.
And I was in the Saturday morning at 10 a.m. First customer is Hugh with his son.
That's cool.
So quite impressed.
Yeah.
I was blushing. I was as red as my top. I didn't realize at first that it was him, and then I've seen my the colleagues were watching me and having a good laugh. And yeah, we did the caviar tasting. He loved it. I think he comes to this shop quite a lot, and he was going to buy the fish soup. So he told me, "No, today I'm going to stick to the fish soup." And at the end, he was about to pay, and he looked at the caviar. He actually put me a tin of 100 grams of caviar.
100 grams. Wow.
100 grams of caviar.
Ah.
That's for Sunday morning with the omelette. So I was quite proud. And I gave him this, which is the key of happiness, which I like to call this the key of happiness. So that's the key to open the caviar.
Ah, yeah. Because it's not easy actually to open a box of caviar, a tin of caviar.
So you will open it with a spoon, but this is the best way to open a tin of caviar.
Yeah.
And I gave him my key of happiness with a necklace like this. Say, this is the key of happiness. And he laughed and he said, "Oh, okay, fair enough." And he put it around his son's neck. And they left the boutique like this. I was so proud.
That's very cool, actually. That's a cool stuff.
And I think he comes quite a lot now buying some to buy some caviar.
He's a great actor. So
and he's a great customer.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, for caviar, I can imagine.
It's one of my favorite movies, actually. Hugh Grant.
Which one?
The Gentleman.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Ah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Very British.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys, for listening. Thank you very much, Faustine.
Yeah.
Well, cheers
It's
cheers to
caviar
Christmas.
tasting.
Cheers
to Christmas, actually.
To the last episode of 2024.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have way more episodes for the next year, guys, but we're going to take a little break for Christmas, just 2 weeks.
Let us eat and drink a little bit.
Kilo of caviar. No, it was really cool to test all the caviar.
Yeah, thank you very much
obviously,
for coming.
it's not something you can try every day, so it's like for special occasion, it's always nice, especially during Christmas. So no, it was very nice to try, and especially like the 3 different type of caviar. When can you buy Sturia if you're in UK and you want to buy some caviar and
it's
treat
a good
yourself?
question. So obviously we sell to Marilou in Chelsea. We sell in a wine shop in Friarwood in Wimbledon and in Parsons Green. And in East London we sell to Fin and Flounder, which is a fishmonger.
On Broadway Market?
On Broadway Market, indeed.
And people, they can buy like 15 grams or...
They can buy 15 grams, 30 grams, 50. We've got a bit of stock of 500 grams, 1 kilo if you want.
Nice, okay. Well, I mean, 1 kilo, but at least people, they can try it. Like,
you've pre-ordered, haven't you?
I pre-ordered 15 kilo.
Thank you
very much, guys. Yep. Again, Merry Christmas.
Have a great New Year as well.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get back first week of January for a new episode of Breaking the Cork with a new guest as usual. Have a good time for Christmas. Don't drink too much. Eat a lot.
Make sure it's good wine. Yeah,
exactly. And we'll see you in January, guys.
See you in the next year.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
The Hospitality Podcast.